Let's get cracking. So good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us. My name is Rob Mukherjee. I'm the Director of Transformation here at EveryCloud, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to the second in our series of weekly Wednesday webinars that we're holding in October for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Last week, my colleague Adam hosted a session around the importance of keeping your Microsoft 365 backed up. And today we'll be looking at how we can all try and stay ahead of this, of the ever-evolving threat around phishing attacks, and in particular things like business email compromise. I'm delighted to be joined by Chris, one of the directors at our partner IronScales as well, who I'll be handing over to shortly. And you're all very welcome to interact, of course, with today's session. We want to kind of keep it informal. So please feel free to drop a note in the chat, or use the Q&A or raise your hand, anything like that. If any of you aren't familiar with EveryCloud, we're a cloud security and cloud communications business focused on keeping our clients protected and connected in the cloud. And today, and all through this Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we're of course focused on the protect side, be that cloud security, zero trust access, identity management, and going passwordless, or of course, as per today's theme, email security and protection against phishing. And then on the connect side, because I did say protect and connect, on the connect side, we help businesses in terms of moving their contact centers into the cloud to help keep them connected with their colleagues and customers and all the benefits that brings. Microsoft Teams telephony is another area we work on the connect side as well. So back to today's subject of email security. Well, we're seeing attackers introduce billions of new phishing emails every single day, and modern cyber criminals are increasingly focused on these really sophisticated attacks like spear phishing, business email compromise, VIP impersonation, polymorphic attacks, etc. And we're seeing phishing attacks more than doubling year on year. And the average impact of a successful phishing attack average is about £200,000, but about 10% of those incidents are over. They're costing the business around £7-8 million. Some of those attacks. And what's really concerning is that an increasing proportion of attacks are bypassing some of the traditional legacy technologies, for example, secure email gateways. So that is something we're of course concerned about, and our clients are concerned about. So enough from me. So why are many organizations still losing that battle against email phishing? What can we do about it? Well, to help us answer that, I'm now going to hand over to Chris from IronScales, who is going to take the stage for us.
Thank you, Rob. I'm going to ask that question, so I hope no one's playing the bingo today, but can everyone see my screen okay?
Yeah, all good.
Perfect. Thank you for the introduction there, Rob. I'm Chris from IronScales, and we are we stop phishing attacks basically. But today I just wanted to show, go through some phishing emails. So look at today as Rob just alluded to there. So email threats are really growing and they're morphing at scale. There is millions each day, which Rob mentioned is turning into the billions quite quickly. Most technologies out there are legacy, and 25% of incoming phishing attacks still make it to the inbox. And from our data, we have found once a phishing email arrives, the time before the user clicks is 82 seconds. So it doesn't give security professionals much time to respond and to remediate, to block, especially if 100 of the same phishing email comes into the door and one person's clicked it quite quickly. There's a whole quick movement is required by the IT team to then stop that phishing email from there. So it's doubling year on year. I'm sure there was some great stats in 2020 and 2019 and 2018 that I've been using in various presentations, but it just keeps doubling. There's just more and more phishing attacks around. That stat is now up to 70% of companies have reported an advanced phishing threat in the last year. And as Rob said just now, we've got it in dollars here, but it's 260k, so about £200,000 per is the average cost for breach. 10% of that is our £10 million plus breaches. That's what it comes to in the end. So let's just have a look at some phishing emails. And today I didn't really want to sit here and say this is IronScales, this is everything we do. We're doing more of an educational piece today. So here's a simple phishing email. It's one I wrote a few years ago that I sent out to some customers. So I've just wrote hi system. I could have put the person's name. It wouldn't have been too much challenges to do that. I've attempted to update your desktop to Windows 10. There is a spelling error in there as well. I've used Old MacDonald hadafishfarm.com as the web link there. So someone hovered their mouse over that link, they would have seen that. And then we have kind regards. This is real customer support. Once before, when I did this same email, I used Robert Lewandowski because the IT manager was Polish, so I switched it out for a football player and pops that into there from there with some good success. This would have been the landing page that I would have created. Now I've used some old stuff on here, so it's a purposeful mistakes. So if we look at the copyrights 2017, we know that the HTTPS address is not Office 365. It's the old way of logging in. It's their old logos. This page they stopped using in 2019. But what we would have done was would have self-populated the email address of the clicker there, and then we were just trying to see if they entered their password or not, and we were just going to record if that user did that. Here's my results from that phishing email. So there was 100 recipients had 100% delivery. We were whitelisted. We were not trying to trick the SEGs. We were whitelisted to try and test the employee in the scenario. 10 people opened that email. Scarily, 16 people clicked, which means 6 people never opened that email fully to actually take a look at that email to make a judgment call if that's a phishing email or not. From those 16 people, 13 people gave me their password from that. And then I think just before one of the events, I wanted to do another phishing attack. So here's one I sent out, and this one was a one to everybody. It was a one to mass. Generally, from phishing, we'd normally target one person at a time. If we're doing some spear phishing, or we would send a mass email if we're doing just generalized phishing. So in here, we've got our smoking policy has changed our company. So a little play on the word there. And I always find this one works really well. And the reason is it's all the smokers. They want to know straight away what's changed. And then all of the non-smokers who begrudge the smokers that extra 5, 10, 15-minute break per day, they also want to take a look and see what the rule changes are too. So as you can see, there's some spelling mistakes in there as well, like our company down the bottom. And what I was trying to get here was I was trying to see if people would open my attachment there from there. So here is the result. So 79 were delivered. 36 people clicked on that link where it says please click here. 24 people opened my attachment that I had attached there, and what I've done is I've just attached that little graph next to it. So I wanted to show that over a period of time that this was sent to everybody at the same time on the same day. And now you can see, sorry, you can't see the top stat, it's 20 odd, and then you can see August 17th, 18th, 20th, 21st, 22nd. There are still people failing this email 5 to 6 days later within the organization, even though upon the first open, when you open that attachment, it came up and said this was a test. We told people that was a test. And you would have thought people would have been talking about it outside on their smoking breaks, or that don't click on it. Did you see that email? Don't click on it. So it's quite surprising to see over a period of time that people are still failing a few days later from there. So damage report. What could we have done with those passwords, those username and passwords? Straight away, at the beginning, you saw about 13 username and passwords. What I would generally do is maybe wait till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, reset the password. That means you don't get the email back through to your mobile phone. It's more likely off. Maybe you don't get that. You got your notifications turned off, and then into your inbox. So what do you have in your inbox? So you probably have customer purchase orders. You more than likely use cloud applications, which we could probably reset your password to because we're in that inbox. If you've been at a company long enough, you may have started to use it for your banking details. Some people, I do find a lot of people have a lot of phishing emails. They have a lot of emails from IT. If you scroll right to the beginning of their inbox, they're not archived from their 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago when they started. It's IT telling them the internal passwords for different systems they have within their business. Some obviously may have been reset since. Some employees quite often use the original passwords. They were set up for their other internal parts within their system. So if you have got like Sage or Salesforce or the like, and 2FA is not turned on, it's quite possible we can replace and that change that password, and now we're into a system as well from that. You probably have a lot of non-disclosure agreements with your customers or with your potential or your vendors. We could just take all this data in your inbox, those 13 people, and just publish it on the website, and that then gives you that's technically a data breach, and that could get you quite hot water with the people who words can't get my words out today, with the company you find. So how do we also look at this? So if you want to go dark, how do we normally look? How does a basic phishing work? So first of all, let's acquire our target, which would be you. I've used EveryCloud for this particular one, and Rob's not seen this yet, so I don't know if his face is going to be in horror or he's going to enjoy it. So what we have here, it's very easy for me to go on LinkedIn. It was very easy for me to see the staff. It was the first three people that came up was Keith, the director, Paul Richards, and Adam Brace, the sales manager at EveryCloud. A little bit of digging showed me that Adam Brace was brand spanking new to the organization. So the emails that he will get that he's not expecting. He doesn't know what to expect. He doesn't know who he deals with at the moment. He doesn't know the policies correctly at the moment. So it could be a nice prime target here. So yeah, Keith, the director, and the sales manager, they're going to send emails to each other from that. So let's interject into that. So I've copied Keith's email address, but it's not his real email address because I don't have it. But I quickly bought everycloud.net instead, for example. I couldn't quite get his name right, so I spelled it wrong. I put Keithy into it as a purposeful mistake, and I just wanted to send the sales budget for H2 to him. It's something that a sales director and sales manager would probably send to each other. So that's my attachment. I would have attached that into there. I'll just put that's gone wrong here. So I put hi Adam from Keithy as attached. And I didn't have a signature. I could have sent, it would have been quite easy for me to send Keith an email and say, Keith, I'm after a job from any email address. He would have replied to me, possibly, I hope he would have replied to me, and I would have had his signature. I could have then cut and paste that into it, but that's too much time and effort, and I haven't got that much time in my day today. So I'm just going to put send from my iPhone, and hopefully he's got an iPhone and not a Samsung Galaxy, and Adam doesn't know that at the moment. So that is a very quick, simplistic email for me to send out there. So we can see how easy that was to do. The program I'm using there, practically free on Google. So that's a basic way of sending phishing emails, and how just what information is freely available on the internet. So why are organizations still losing the battle with phishing emails? So attackers introduce 3 billion new phishing emails every single day. Modern threat actors increasingly focus on sophisticated attacks. What I just showed you just now is very basic, and some of the results I got were very basic from there as well. So if we take a look a little bit more at spear phishing and business email compromise and VIP impersonation attacks, which I just touched on with Keith. There was a bit of a VIP impersonation. I wasn't asking for lots of money. And then we have today's polymorphic attacks as well. So what is the phishing challenge for end users? So as we mentioned earlier, it takes under 90 seconds from a phishing email to come into the average click time. Some sit in an inbox for quite some time. Some obviously go into your spam, but 25% of phishing emails do make their way to the inbox, and we are trying to work against that 90 seconds. Everyone in this industry is trying to beat that clock, get that phishing email resolved. So users are distracted with their own work. Maybe lack the proper awareness to report as well. So maybe they don't know the method that they have within their business. When we, in the past, when we've done some reports on customers or we've interviewed them, we've said, what is your procedure for phishing emails? What's your procedure for handling? It's quite often that it's unknown what the procedure is. So thankfully, there's been quite a big boom in the market over the last few years of sort of buttons that can alert or send that email to IT. So that's automated there to assist the user. But then we had this boom of working from home as well. So attack surface obviously was one way in, it was one way out. It was through the firewall, people on bums on seats. The IT manager could look around. Bob is definitely not trying to log in from China at the moment. Obviously now he's not at his desk, everybody's away, but we're all trying to multitask. We're at our desks, we've got doorbells ringing, we've got dogs barking, we've got kids shouting, and we're a little bit more hybrid working now. So it's become even more busier, and we can't just look around. You can't stand up and say, has anyone just got that email? Is this a phishing email? Or somebody's not warned you, if you're not that person, stop. Somebody's not stopped and goes, no one clicked that email in the room, which would have happened in the previous roles. In the office. So lacking the awareness of individuals, it really highlights an individual's different level of training there. So some will be quite advanced, I'm sure, and be quite switched on. But then I remember there are people like my dad working at these companies with emails who constantly phones me up and says, "What is this email? Is this a phishing attack? I've just given my password here. What is my passwords? I've got the same password for everything. No capital letters." No. Then I remember he does work for an organisation, so there must be other users out there like that, as in the same way. So phishing is challenging for IT as well. So it's additional duty. The phishing attacks are rising. They have got a lot of work to do. So the traditional method of doing so would be to a phishing email comes in. Normally they send an email around to everybody. Has anyone seen this phishing email? Please, nobody click on that. If you have, report it to me. Not everyone reports it to them, and they go along and then maybe do some blacklisting on various security products, maybe on the SEG, traditionally on the SEG, to stop further attacks coming in, which if they've then got variations of that email from different senders, different IP address, they might have to block 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different emails. So it's a lot of time, a lot of going backwards and forth. Maybe they even have to run PowerShell scripts to get the headers from the email. It's not easily accessible information from that. So IT departments are traditionally quite small. They always feel underserviced. And they're trying to just get things together, get it right. And then the rise of security awareness training and these alert type buttons has actually led to another problem, which is that employees report more phishing emails or report more suspicious emails than they've ever done in the past. So I think the rise is approximately 40% more phishing emails reported to IT. They're only suspicious emails, so they're not 100% phishing emails, because this is an added additional workload to a SOC team as well. So they now 1 in 3 of the emails that came in were generally phishing. The other 2 could be safe or could just be spam, but they had to still do that investigation work first. So their workload has increased and it's continuing to increase as there's more security awareness training and more ways of users reporting phishing emails within the business. So if we look at some more advanced phishing attacks now as well, so I showed you a very simplistic way of me sending out some phishing emails and some of the results I got. Maybe you've all seen this before, but everyone thinks that hackers are sitting there on the keyboard, but generally it's the information you're giving away on Facebook and answering these quizzes and the like, as well as not, maybe you don't do these, maybe a picture, which means you're on holiday, maybe you take a picture in your new address, I've just moved into my new house and your numbers in the background. There's lots of information that can be now gathered, even in a professional manner, from LinkedIn, through web scraping, and it's a multi-billion pound industries to buy this data. It's all over the dark web. You can buy some of it genuinely for marketing, and you can buy it dark as well. And I'm sure some of you have seen that test on all these tests that you see on social media. Maybe it's a big graph full of numbers and it says how many 9s can you see, and that's a way of testing people. So how many 9s can you see in a sea of 6s, and you get people commenting 2, 3, 6, 7. So the lower you score on that, the more susceptible you are to phishing emails. So maybe that helps to make your profile within that business from that. So, and AI has come on. AI is now sending phishing emails. You need AI to protect against phishing emails. But AI, as somebody, I had a conversation with somebody once and was showing me their setup. We could literally set it up, walk away from their desk, make a cup of coffee, and they could send out 1,500 unique phishing emails. If 100 of those went to the same business, that would really increase the workload on a SOC team. Because we can't just block one IP address, you might have to block multiple IP addresses, or maybe the messaging different changes, or maybe the sender changes. There's lots of this. It's what's known as a polymorphic attack in some regards as well. So why do people struggle to identify fake phishing websites? Messages containing fake logins can now regularly bypass technical controls, so they can get past email gateways and spam filters without much time, money, or resources. Quite easy to get past them these days. They're generally rule-based from there. So this occurs because the messaging and the sender are able to pass various authentication protocols and gateway controls that look for malicious payloads. So they're not they might just be looking for a fault with an error somewhere which says that's a bit malicious, but they're not looking at the communication. Is it a person that normally sends me an email? Is that because sometimes you don't have to have a web link, sometimes you don't have to have an attachment. And I mentioned earlier polymorphic email, so you can detonate that. So you can send a phishing attack with a very good live server, which is happy. It's regarded in the industry as being very good. It passes through, but a hacker may have control of that server, and then it's been a good server for the last 10, 15 years. And then once it's been delivered to enough people, it gets switched on. So now that website is going to a different page from what it would do originally. And 27% of the phishing attacks are now polymorphic. So that comes with a good link, which turns bad later on. It self-detonates later on when it's been delivered to enough people from that. So we've done some research here. So we reviewed some 25k emails with verified malicious links and attachments to get a better understanding of phishing trends. So all 25k emails we studied bypassed the SEG or cloud email security tool for Office 365. So we only took this research of what arrived within a user's inbox. So it was quite poor how many did stop these particular emails. But what we were doing is by comparing the visual similarity of legitimate landing page to spoof ones, we were looking at computer vision enabled solutions to critical additional layer of defense. They did not rely on simple pattern matching technology. So what we mean by that is an Amazon web email comes in, which I'll touch on in a moment. So you have it's very difficult to create a landing page which is identical, or a phishing email which has the same image, because if you took the Amazon logo and you sent that, today's security products are looking at that. That's owned by Amazon. We've done a pixel by pixel scan, and that is owned by Amazon. So what people are doing now is when they create their fake landing pages as well, they have to stretch the image slightly so it can't be picked up, stretched enough to fool computers, but also the human still recognizes that as their logo, which is why sometimes it looks a little bit changed in color from there. So if we look at the research we did there, so 45% were blurred, so they appear blurring out focus. It was either 25% were resized, 15% were creative. So I tried to make a connection through design. So maybe it's not the full Coca-Cola badge. Maybe it's just some of the way it's written. For example, some of the old logos. I quite often use old logos if I was to create a website, and obviously most of it contains a sense of urgency. But that's what we're trained to spot as well: sense of urgency. Are they trying to rush me? That seems to have died down and been replaced with other tactics now from them. So we can look at spoofed websites as well. So from just that 23%, those 5,000 emails, we found that 37% were related to a fake Microsoft page, 25% were PayPal, 8% was HSBC, 5% with Adobe, 3% was Wells Fargo. This was done in America, so it would show up. If you look to the right there, I just wanted to show you that though. So sometimes the traditional hover your mouse over the link, click on that link, you can spot where the this is not adobe.com. Sometimes it's just a pop-up. Sometimes it has no address. Sometimes it's very difficult for the user to spot that. It's just a pop-up that's come up and said, to use Adobe, you need to log in. And it's presented this login page or just this pop-up banner on their computer. Very, very difficult to stop that. So talking of the blurred image, it's incredibly difficult to create a genuine looking website and bypass security protocols, as we just mentioned. So the thing is, a lot of people ask why there's spelling mistakes within a phishing email. And it's generally done just to if you can fall for the phishing email, then you'll probably fall for the mistakes on the website. So the hacker is trying to, on purpose, wants their website to stay up as long as possible. So if you're a user and there's a perfect email that arrives in your inbox, you think it's from Amazon, and you go in, you've got your card in hand, you go to update it, you're going to go, something's not right here. And my card details are saved on file. Why aren't my card saved on file? Maybe you might spot some of the mistakes on the website. It's very difficult to build a really genuine looking website compared to a really genuine email. So what they're trying to do there is you're more likely as a user to report that phishing email, to report that website if your card's in hand. If it's an email, you'll just press delete, and nothing happens. So that hacker keeps the website up as long as possible. So if you don't see the errors in email, you most likely won't spot the imperfections on the website, which is a tactic which is quite often used, because you can send a perfect phishing email, and you do for spear phishing as well. But these mass emails that are just trying to attract people, they do that to just get the right people in the door, basically. It's technically it's brilliant marketing from them. So there is quite a lot we could go over. So we have got account takeovers, and I've touched on some of credential harvesting and how easy that was to do, and some malware phishing and ransomware. If anyone's got any questions, I'm pretty much finished now. So if anyone's got any questions along any of those, there's some subjects we could discuss.
Thank you, Chris. Really good, really good timing as well. Finishing with a couple of minutes left for questions, and yeah, I mean, it's a good reminder. Even, I mean, I work obviously in the cybersecurity industry, and even some good reminders there for me in terms of how things are changing. You know, things are evolving. You know, once the world, or once the goodies, if you like, start to realise some of the tactics that the baddies are taking, then the baddies just change again, and it is a very, very, cybercrime and phishing attacks is a very sophisticated industry, really. And I think we need to remember that this crime is an industry, a well-funded industry. So we do need to, our defence teams and ourselves, as and all our people, all our colleagues, all our family and friends, need to be aware and need to stay ahead of these problems. But as Chris said, yeah, if you've got any questions before we leave, feel free to put them in the chat. Feel free to use the Q&A or even raise your hand, and we'll be happy to take them. If not, feel free to just drop us a line. You've got our details. Keep an eye out on LinkedIn, on the Every Cloud UK LinkedIn page, and you'll see some of the future events we'll be having. Okay, so I can see. Yeah, it's a great question. This could just come in. If links, and I'll have a view on this, but Chris, I'll leave this to you to answer as well. If links in emails are polymorphic and they change once they're in the inbox, so I guess this means like a delayed weaponized attack, how can we tackle these polymorphic or delayed weaponized attacks? Chris, do you want to?
Yeah, sure. There's a couple of ways you could. Sandboxes is generally the answer for that. So we're some security products out there, including Ironscales. There's a few of us that we actually check on click. So even 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours later, although it's got past the seg, which is on the gateway, generally it's gone, that's okay, and then it gets within the inbox. So if you've got inbox protection, which is where Ironscales sits within your inbox, then we will offer additional services or additional features, which is on click. So although it's got past the seg, which was saved, and then it doesn't know where that email is or who's got that email in their inbox, because we're always in the inbox, we're always live. On click of that phishing link, we will actually sandbox it straight away and check it.
And I think this is this is one of the things we're seeing being recommended by some of the big industry analysts like Gartner, is traditionally you would have protection that sat at the server level, and without getting too technical, you kind of see emails would come in past the server, at a company level, and then end up in the inbox. And if your protection's at the server, and as this question says, it's a harmless link that's got into the server, so it's got past it, it's too late then. And that's why what the analysts are now recommending is, you have this inbox focus where you have a live continuous API plugged into your inbox, this kind of integrating, the technology and the human aspect of the behavior of the inbox. So as Chris said, you can click on that, and that's where, that's why you are able to catch a lot more of these sophisticated attacks at inbox level rather than the traditional secure email gateway level. Thank you, Chris. So I hope that answered your question. Any more questions before we leave you to the rest of your morning?
No, I'll just summarise here then. So what
Sure.
Iron-Scales do, without giving you a full-blown Iron-Scales pitch, is we detect, respond, predict and prevent phishing emails. We are within the inbox, as Rob just alluded to. We're not on the edge. We are looking at business communication. We're not looking for threats, we're looking for anomalies. So we're looking, if somebody changes their email address, we're looking at your continuous communication, and we use artificial intelligence to self-remediate and take those emails out to beat that 82-second clock. From that, anyone on this call today is quite entitled to a 90-day scan back. So we can plug in via our API graph. We can look at the last 90 days. We can see what phishing emails have come in, or suspicious. Let's say suspicious emails. We can see what suspicious emails have come in, where they're sitting within your user account, and we've got one-click remediation from that, or AI can do that. Here's a sample report. We've had 234 incidents. One incident could be 10 emails, it could be 100 emails, it could be 1,000 emails of the same email or similarities. We would then just pull them into one incident. So if 100 phishing emails came in, we'd say one incident because it's one time that's come in. So we can see in this particular one, out of 86,000 employees, we had 625 infected employees, and we detected 974 emails out of 3 million there. So we solved 134 phishing incidents. We did that automatically with AI, removing those, and we saved the analyst 74 hours of time. So you can get your own report like this as well, which just speak to Rob.
Yeah, and as Chris said, that's something we can offer to all of you on the call. Another question I've seen come in says, is a good way to combat links to block all email links, but so that the user would then have to type the URL manually. So you kind of block all the links so it doesn't come through as a link that can be clicked on, but you can kind of see the URL and have to type it in manually. And I guess my instinctive answer to that is there's two bits to that. So we always try and also focus on security being something that enables people and doesn't, we've all been there in the past where security and IT can feel like the blockers or the police. And I think if you start blocking all links, then the vast majority of links you'll be blocking are actually harmless, and you're causing the end user a challenge then, and they could still type in the URL for a malicious link. It reminds me a little bit of the other thing that people often have is these banners on emails that say "Caution, external sender. Beware of the sender before you click." If you have a banner on every single email, or you block every single email link, it starts to lose its effect. And again, if I use that banners example, if I ask most companies or security people, do those banners on every single external email stop someone clicking? Do they make someone be more vigilant? Well, no, because it's only literally, 2-4% of emails or whatever that are actually the dangerous ones. That's my view anyway on that question. Don't block everything and don't put a banner on everything. You need to really use some of this clever technology, a bit like Chris described, some of the advanced URL detection and something that can spot using things like computer vision, those spoof emails, those spoof websites, those dangerous emails, can spot weaponized attacks once they've been clicked on. I think blocking everything is not a good experience for the user. And actually,
it wouldn't work. I've got to say, a company would fall over if you block. Imagine you've got Salesforce links that go out and they're very long. You're trying to send your colleague a Salesforce link of something else, or that's internal emails. But how could you reset a password? With your confirmation email, you've just signed up for this. How do you get your confirmation? How does any of that happen with that? It probably just wouldn't work. The user experience, and it's always the same with security. It's the user experience versus the how much security controls. So you can tie down everything. You might as well unplug the internet from some computers because some people it's not required for. But then it's the user experience versus the how productive they can be. How could they sit there and type in all these very long email addresses? Websites, web links, and the like. And how many emails would you technically be blocking? It'd be an insane amount. I don't know if any engine can cope with that much blocking.
Yeah, great. Okay, I don't see any more questions. I'm conscious we're past 10 o'clock, so Please do drop us any questions. Feel free to give us a shout anytime. Check us out on LinkedIn. Yeah, thank you again for joining us, and keep an eye on the Every Cloud social media for the forthcoming webinars we do have on security posture management and passwordless access we'll be looking at as well later this month. Massive thanks to Chris for walking us through that today, and we'll look forward to hopefully seeing you all soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.